Hello everyone, this is Asra Sultana, Assistant Professor in Triple Department working in ISL Engineering College. I am taking the subject High Voltage DC Transmission for Triple Final Year students. So last class we have seen about the starting and stopping of DC link, energization and de-energization of a bridge, starting up of a DC link. In that we have seen startup with long pulse firing and startup with short pulse firing, power control, generic model of VDCOL, that is voltage dependent current order limiter, and higher level controllers we have seen, and telecommunication requirements. Today's class we are going to see control of voltage source converter, the design of current controllers, block diagram of VSC controller we are going to see, and block diagram of PLL we are going to see, control hierarchy and system control. Three levels of control in VSC based HVDC, control characteristics, and voltage control at rectifier and voltage control at inverter. And with this we are going to finish the third unit in HVDC transmission subject. Okay. So let us see what exactly we have seen in the starting and stopping of a DC link. There we have seen the energization and de-energization of a bridge. So we have considered N series connected bridges at a converter station. If one of the bridges is to be taken out of service, there is need to not only block but bypass the bridge. This is because of the fact that just blocking the pulses will not extinguish the current in the pair of valves that are left conducting at the time of blocking. The continued conduction of this pair injects AC voltage into the link, which can give rise to current and voltage oscillations due to lightly damped oscillatory circuit in the link formed by smoothing reactor and the line capacitance. The transformer feeding the bridge is also subject to DC magnetization when DC current continues to flow through the secondary windings. Bypassing of the bridge can be done with the help of a separate bypass valve or by activating a bypass pair in the bridge. So that is, we are connecting two valves in the same arm of the bridge. The bypass valve was used with mercury arc valves where the possibility of arc breaks make it impractical to use bypass pairs. With thyristor valves, the use of bypass pair is the practice as it saves the cost of an extra valve. The process of de-energization of a bridge is explained with respect to the reference of this above diagram, that is a converter bridge with isolators is shown here. The valves 2 and 3 are assumed to be conducting initially when the blocking command is given. With the selection of bypass pair 1 and 4, commutation from valve 2 to 4 is in the usual manner, but the commutation from valve 3 to 5 is prevented. In the case of a predetermined choice of the bypass path, time lapse between the blocking command and the current transfer to bypass path can vary from 60 degrees to 180 degrees for a rectifier bridge. This time can be reduced from 60 degrees to 120 degrees if the bypass pair is chosen such that the valve with the lower valve number carrying current at the instant of locking is included in the bypass pair. In the inverter, there is no time lag involved in the activation of the bypass pair. The voltage waveform for the rectifier and inverter is shown in the figure A and B respectively. Overlap is neglected here. Current from the bypass pair will be shunted to a mechanical switch S1. With the aid of the oscillators S, the bridge can now be oscillated. The isolated pair S and switch S1 are interlocked such that one or both will be always closed. So energization of a block bridge is done in two stages. The current is first diverted from S1 to bypass pair. For this to happen, S1 must generate the required arc voltage, and to minimize this voltage, circuit inductance must be small. In case the bypass pair fails to take over the current, S1 must close automatically if the current in that does not become zero after a predetermined time interval. AC breakers with sufficient arc voltage but with reduced braking capacity are used as switch S1. In the second state of energization, current is diverted from the bypass pair. For the rectifier, this can take place instantaneously, neglecting overlap. However, for the inverter, transition requires some time lag. The voltage waveform for this case is shown in the figure. That is, this is the voltage waveform during energization for rectifier and inverter. So here we can note a point that to avoid operation at high delay or extinction angles, the de-energization of a bridge at the rectifier or inverter station is accompanied by the de-energization of a bridge at the inverter or rectifier station. Let us see startup of a DC link. There are two different startup procedures depending upon whether the converter firing controller provides a short gate pulse or a long gate pulse. The long gate pulse will last nearly 120 degrees, the average conduction period of a valve. Startup with the long pulse firing. So in this case, current extinction during the startup is not a problem. Starting sequence in this case is as follows. That is, first one is D block inverter at about gamma equal to 90 degrees. Second is D block rectifier at alpha equal to 85 degrees to establish low direct current. Third is ramp up voltage by inverter control and current by rectifier control. Startup with short pulse firing. In this case, problem of current extinction during startup will be present as the valve with forward bias is not put into conduction when the current in that falls transiently below holding current. So starting sequence for this case is as follows. First one is open bypass switch at one terminal. Second is deblock the terminal and load to minimum current in the rectifier mode. Third is open bypass switch at the second terminal and commute current to the bypass pair. Fourth, start the second terminal also in the rectifier mode. Fifth, inverter terminal is put into the inversion mode. Sixth, ramp up voltage and current. Voltage is raised before raising the current and this will permit the insulation of the line to be checked before raising the power. Ramping of power will avoid stresses on the generator shaft and switching surges in the lines is also reduced. Required power ramping rate depends on the strength of the AC system. Weaker systems will require fast restoration of DC power for maintaining transient stability. Power control. Block diagram of basic power and auxiliary controller used is shown in the figure. Current order is obtained as the quantity derived from the power order by dividing it by direct voltage. Limits on the current order are modified by VDCOL, that is voltage dependent current order limiter. So objective of this VDCOL is to prevent individual thyristors from carrying full current for long periods during commutation failures. However, sufficient time delay is given to prevent the action of VDCOL during normal AC system faults, which would otherwise drastically reduce DC power. The transfer functions G1 and G2 are given as G1 is equal to G1 of S is equal to 1 by S 1 by 1 plus S T down and G2 of S is 1 by 1 plus S T up. Okay. 1 by 1 plus S T T 1 by 1 plus S T P 1 by 1 plus S T D. Okay. So by providing both converter stations with dividing circuits and transmitting the power order from the leading station in which the power order is set to the trailing station, fastest response to DC line voltage will changes is obtained without undue communication requirements. This diagram is showing the generic model of a VDCOL. Power order and the corresponding rate of change or order are set with the thumb wheels by the operator in one of the stations, the lead station, which may be inverter or rectifier station. The use of programmable logic for realization of power flow control function can be the most appropriate solution for future applications. Auxiliary controller is designed to provide power modulation for frequency control or stabilization of AC systems. The input signal is derived from frequency or other signals. Then we have seen higher level controllers, that is, in that we have seen power in a DC link can be controlled in response to the quantities derived from the AC system in order to improve the security of the overall system. This is achieved by additional power order derived from an emergency power controller or auxiliary controller. So the functions of such higher level controllers will be, first one is to is frequency and power frequency control. Second is stabilization of AC ties. Third is emergency control. Fourth is reactive power control. Fifth is subsynchronous damping control. Then we have seen telecommunication requirements. So although normal power order setting with voice communication is possible, utilization of inherent speed of response of DC link requires communication channel of appropriate capacity. So for the use of stabilization control, a 1200 baud channel is required for power flow control. This gives a sampling interval of 20 milliseconds with a resolution of 0.05% of the maximum current order, which should be adequate for most of the cases. Now let us see in today's class control of voltage source converter. So a voltage source converter used in a HVDC link injects a controllable voltage at the AC terminals. It is given as E is equal to M EA naught angle theta plus alpha. EA0 is equal to K into VDC, where K is a constant depending upon the converter configuration. For a two-level converter, K is given as root 6 by pi M and alpha are control variables. M is nothing but here normalized modulation index and alpha is the phase angle, and these are the control variables used to control power and reactive power. Theta is the angle of the AC bus of the converter. So M is less than 1 and alpha can be positive or negative depending upon whether the converter is operating as an inverter or a rectifier. Reactive power injected by the converter is a function of Vs, the bus voltage magnitude. In contrast, it is to be noted that line commutated thyristor based converter can only draw reactive power depending upon the power flow through the converter. So block diagram of the controllers for VSC is shown in the figure. Here IP and IR are the active and reactive components of the AC current drawn by the converter. So IP is equal to P by Vs, in IR is equal to Q by Vs. Reference values for the active element IP is obtained either from the power controller or DC voltage controller. The reference value for the reactive current IR is obtained from the specified reactive power or AC voltage controller. The outputs of the current controllers are desired converter voltage components EP and ER, which are defined as EP is equal to MKVDC cos alpha and ER is equal to minus MKVDC sin alpha. So from the above equation, M and alpha can be calculated as M equal to root of EP square plus ER square by KVDC and alpha equal to minus tan inverse of ER by EP. Now let us see the design of current controllers. The variables IP and IR are related to the DQ variables, that is ID and IQ, by IQ plus JID is equal to IP minus JIR into e power j theta. So substituting the value of this in the below equation, that is L di by dt plus R plus J omega naught L into I equal to V minus E. Substituting these values, so we are going to get we get L I di by dt plus J theta Li plus R plus J omega naught L into I equal to Vs angle 0 minus Mk VDC e power J alpha, where I dash is the IP minus JIR. So we have to note here that active current IP is in phase with the source voltage and the positive reactive current drawn by the converter lags the source voltage by 90 degrees. So d by dt of so we are expressing this equation as like this, that is d by dt of ip ir is equal to, in the form of matrix, that is minus r omega b by x, 0 0 here, minus r omega b by x into ip ir plus omega b by x vs minus ep minus x omega by omega b ir and minus er plus x omega by omega b ip, where x is omega b l, omega is omega naught plus d theta by dt, and omega b is the rated frequency. So if we arrange up is equal to vs minus ep minus x omega by omega b into ir, ur is equal to minus er plus x omega by omega b into ip, where up and ur are obtained as the outputs of the active and reactive current controller. Then we get decoupled, also called as vector control of the two current components shown in the figure, in this figure. up and ur are obtained as the outputs of the controllers, and they are defined as up is equal to gc of s ip conjugate minus ip, ur is equal to gc of s ir conjugate minus ir, where gc of s is equal to kc into 1 plus stc by stc for a pi controller, proportional plus integral controller. So this is a diagram showing decoupled current controllers. So this is decoupled structure of current controllers is obtained by the feed-forward terms involving IP, IR, and VS. PI controller time constant TC can be chosen to cancel the poles introduced by the current flow in the inductive circuit. If TC is equal to L by R and KC is chosen as L by TI, so we can show here that IP equal to 1 by 1 plus STI into IP conjugate, IR is equal to 1 by 1 plus STI into IR conjugate. Value of Ti can be chosen to provide specified response time for the current controllers. In general, the response time is a fraction of a cycle. The implementation of the vector control scheme involves computation of IP and IR, which requires a phase lock loop PLL synchronized to the AC bus voltage of the converter. So, phase lock loop PLL block diagram is shown in the figure here. This is a block diagram of a PLL. So, implementation of vector control scheme involves computation of IP and IR, which requires a phase lock loop PLL synchronized to the AC bus voltage of the converter. A typical PLL block diagram is shown in the figure. Now let us see the control hierarchy and system control. Control hierarchy in a VSC based HVDC link is similar to that in a LCC based HVDC link, except for some major differences. Example, a VSC uses self-commutated device such as IGBTs, and hence there is no problem of commutation failure caused by dips in the AC voltage. The DC voltage in a VSC based HVDC link is independent of variations in the system voltage, except under fault conditions. These characteristics have two major advantages. First one, an inverter can feed passive loads, in which case the inverter controls the magnitude and the frequency of the AC voltage across the passive load. Second one, the power control in a nominal HVDC link with voltage sources at both the ends does not require fast telecommunication. In a two-terminal HVDC link, one terminal, say the inverter, regulates the DC bus voltage while the other terminal regulates the power flow. Unless the limit on the DC voltage is reached, the rectifier station can supply the required power automatically. So, reduction in AC voltage due to faults at the inverter can actually increase the DC voltage and current in the link. The three levels of control in a VSC based HVDC link is shown in the figure. The valve firing sequence is regulated by the type of PWM applied. Selective harmonic elimination method of pulsed width modulation results in the least number of valve switchings per cycle to cancel a selected number of harmonics. Firing controller normally uses a PLL, which is synchronized to an active AC system or independently locked when feeding passive loads. The converter control sets the magnitude and phase angle of the injected voltage of the converter. Also, by adjusting the frequency of the oscillator in the firing controls, it can provide frequency control desired while supplying passive load. Converter control may perform the following functions. First one is balancing currents among parallel connected converters. Second is protection of series connected converters. Third is provide negative sequence control to minimize effects of unbalance. Fourth is control and limit the DC capacitor voltage. Fifth is control DC voltage unbalance for multi-level converters. System control will perform the following functions. First one is control of active and reactive power. Second is control of AC voltage magnitude subject to the limitations of the ratings. Third is enhancement of the system transient stability. Fourth is damping of oscillations. Fifth is frequency control. Last three functions require modulation of the active power based on appropriate control signals and control laws. In performing these functions, there is no significant difference between LCC and VSC based HVDC links except for the differences due to their individual characteristics. Mode switching from DC voltage control to power control or vice versa may be required if there are limits imposed on the power flow. To prevent hunting between DC voltage controllers at the two terminals, a voltage margin is provided. A P versus VDC control characteristics for a terminal is shown in the figure. Okay, power versus VDC characteristics is shown in the figure. Here, positive P indicates DC power flowing away from the terminal. That is, the terminal is operating as a rectifier station. And negative P indicates that the terminal is operating as an inverter. Rectifier voltage controller will be given a preference which is equal to VDC conjugate at the inverter plus the voltage margin. Operating point is determined by the intersection of the two characteristics as shown in the figure A. The inverter determines the power flow as long as it does not exceed the upper limit of the power flow at the rectifier. If the limit on the power flow at the rectifier is exceeded, voltage control will be shifted to the inverter automatically as shown in the figure B. So VSC based HVDC link does not require fast telecommunication except under the following conditions. First one, when damping of low frequency electromechanical oscillations is required at the converter not controlling the power. And second one, when fast power control is required between converters in a multi-terminal configuration. Thank you everyone for watching the video. I hope today's class is clear to everyone. So we have finished the third unit. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, students. Give your attendance in the comment section. So if fourth unit after vacation, so some time gap is there here now from 6 to 16. We won't be posting any videos. So during that time, please concentrate on the project work. All the final year students should complete the documentation part. Okay. So by today evening, you have to submit it to me. The documentation part. Show it to your internal guides first. Get it corrected. If any mistakes are there, then get it corrected and soft copy you submit it to me today. Students should do the online certified courses. So you can do so many online courses are available. SWAYAM and MOOCs, Pantech, so many are there. So you can do the online courses, certified courses, which is useful for you for your future to get the jobs and to get the knowledge also. These courses are very useful. So as we are not posting videos during this time, that is during 6 to 16 May, so you can enroll in any certified online training program. And I'm going to give the assignment questions, students. Unit wise assignment I will give. So all the students should complete those assignment questions in a A4 size paper, and be ready to upload that paper and keep the all assignments separately. I'm going to give 5 assignments, one from each unit. Okay, students, thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any doubts, so you can ask me. So regarding the online courses, please search. Various courses are available. So please search on the internet. So we do the courses on the latest technology. Okay. I hope today's class is clear to everyone. Thank you everyone for watching the video.